Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Ray Donovan. A fantastic season finale. Just overall, so good. There's so much to go over, so we're going to break everything down bit by bit. Obviously, this is almost like the redemption episode in a certain sense, because it's almost like Ray making amends for everything that kind of went down. He ends up giving Bunchy the bar, just because he's in that mood of trying to set everything right, trying to make things right. Because there's a whole storyline with Connor, which kind of took an interesting turn, because obviously Connor and him talk about it. He's like, okay, you sure you want to listen? He's like, sure, this is what I want to do. And now he's talking about, what do you think of me, Dad? He's like, you're my son. It's like, no, what do you think of me? And it's like, you look at me, I'm weak and stupid. He's like, well, the fact of the matter is, I'm gonna come back basically stronger than you, that you're gonna work for me when it's all said and done, and just walks away. So it's like, it's so interesting because I feel like Connor's never really held that much. I mean, maybe he's secretly always held animosity towards Ray, because he feels like, oh, I'm not much of a man. In your eyes, I'm not a man, am I? It's almost like Daryl. I feel like Daryl and Connor kind of have a similar thing of constantly trying to prove themselves. Daryl constantly trying to prove himself as a Donovan, and Connor kind of doing pretty much the same thing, trying to prove himself in Ray's eyes. And legitimately, we don't know how Ray feels about his son. I would just oh, he's like, you're my son. He's like, he tries to explain it, but I think maybe it's just I think Connor just has some complex. I mean, maybe there is some truth to that, but it's I don't know. It's you're my son. I love you and everything, but I don't know how Ray really feels. It's never he's really ever expressed it. It's just kind of. But like I said, maybe it's just everything that's built up towards now, and just maybe Abby dying finally pushed Connor to be no, bump this. I need to be strong. I need to be strong. Maybe he looks at Ray and it's no, Ray's acting weak. Dad's acting weak about this situation. It's no, I'm gonna be strong. So I'm curious to see what goes about that situation, because I was curious. Even doing it, I was Connor hasn't popped it. The last time we saw Connor was that flashback that was oh yeah, because the only time we ever saw him present day was when him and Terry talked, I think. But in the past, it was the last time we saw him was in the past, where he was dealing with the fact that Abby wanted to stop treatment. That was the last time we saw. So maybe all that just accumulated and made him get to where he is right now. But I mean, I'm interested to see what they decided ultimately do with that. You had Ray going to Natalie's funeral, where Doug showed up with the actress who he was going to get to replace her in the movies, which was kind of shitty. And even Sam points out the fact of the matter is, it's oh yeah, you're not even shedding a tear for Natalie nor the baby she had inside of her. So that was your baby. So what kind of took me by surprise is ultimately what Ray did. He was asking Sam for a favor. He's Sam, I need you, basically help the whole doctor situation, which we don't know what it is exactly she did, because ultimately when Ray asked her, she's it doesn't matter, it's done already. So it's he kind of forces Sharon, the doctor's hand. And I mean, guess this is the episode of everything coming down. Okay, on one hand, you have Daryl stressing about the whole Mickey situation, because it's that's our dad. But Ray's kind of who cares? The moment he gets a chance, he's going to roll on you. To be fair, Ray was kind of right, except he picked the wrong son. It's Mickey was going to roll on him, blaming basically everything that Ray's been connected to over the course of the series. He was about to put Ray on blast for all of it, and I was wow. I mean, even though you had your hand in a lot of that stuff too, let's not forget that. But it's just that was his way. That was his way of giving the middle finger to Ray. He told Ray he was going to come after him. So I was I thought he meant in a more physical way, but hey, there's always a possibility for that in the future. But for now, I guess it was hey, this is my way of doing that. I mean, kind of, he fixed his own situation while also kind of digging a grave for Ray, essentially, with what he was doing. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't pan out because Daryl ended up giving a gun to Ray too, and basically saying we're all going to hell for this. It's kind of interesting because Ray was saying don't do it for Mickey, because Mickey would turn on you. And in the moment, Bunchy's if I were you, just throw the gun in the river, just drop the whole thing. Yeah, Mickey could get away with whatever he did, and there's all the evidence against him kind of disappears, but he gets free and everything. It was Daryl's maybe I should tell the truth, and Bunchy's for Mickey, because even Bunchy's really for Mickey. You're going to talk about telling the truth? It's nah. Basically, Ray and Bunchy have the same idea of just no matter what happens, live your life. Don't get so caught up in. Because we still don't know why he harbors some. That's still something we still didn't walk away from this episode really knowing. Why Ray hates Mickey as much as he does. The reason why he's willing to do all this. And I guess because it's just for him, it's all Mickey's ever done his entire life. It's just like, in his mind, it's like, Mickey's been a dick since I was a kid. It's like, nah, like, I'm done. Put my life on the line. Like, everything in my life kind of goes to crap because of Mickey. Like, I mean, because the whole Avi situation got worse because Mickey kept it from him. So it's like, Mickey's more troubled than he's worth. So, like I said, but we don't really know what the 100% root of the situation is. It might stem from a lot of stuff that dealt with, him and his mom, like Mickey and Ray and Terry and Bunchy's mom. Like, maybe he has a lot to do with that. Maybe it has something to do with Bridget, their sister, not, Ray's daughter. So, I mean, it's probably, like I said, it's a lot. You probably can't pinpoint it to one exact thing. And maybe there is one particular thing, but it's just like everything else is probably like a catalyst born from that said thing. Because Ray ended up visiting his therapist in this, C. Thomas Howell's character, his therapist or anger management therapist, whatever you want to call him, his probation worker. But it's like this was their last session and everything. Ray's still not talking, but ultimately he was like, your problem is your trauma. That basically all that trauma that you've ever dealt, like that first started all this, that was that priest molesting him all those years ago. It's manifested in its way in this way, because the way Ray is, he took that trauma that's still with him and he just kind of made it his own. And his, like, the reason why he gets as angry as he is, why he kind of is as rash as he is, it's just his way of kind of, in a way, compensating for everything that happened to him. And he even goes as far as C. Thomas Howell's character is basically like, hey, you got PTSD, and it's like, if you want to cure all that, you're going to have to, it takes time and medication. You might not want to hear it, but that's what it's going to take. And he's just like, well, thanks for helping with my anger issues, and walks away, which is like, you're not cured. You're still a mess, because it's not like because Ray doesn't talk to anybody about what he's dealing with Abby. The fact of the matter is going to Natalie's funeral, because at the beginning, like while he was at the funeral, it cut to him driving on a highway, and then Abby's there standing on the edge of a cliff, and she like falls backwards, and you see him standing over it, which I guess, maybe it's a metaphor for what was going to, I mean, not a metaphor, but maybe it was foreshadowing for what was going to happen later on in the episode, or more so it's supposed to represent where he felt like, it's just like standing at the edge, just ready to jump in any moment, so like I said, he is not fixed, but I don't know. There's always, when it comes to Ray, when it comes to the entire show, there's always band-aids. There's never a complete fix to any situation in this entire series. It's more like little band-aids here and there, but it's just like, I think this was the season where like all those band-aids that just kept everything like together just slowly started breaking and just peeling off one by one until they just open this gaping wound again. I feel like that's the best way to kind of describe it. I mean, and I think they did such a beautiful job with this season by making the choice of doing what they did with Abby, which sucks, but you just see how much this family fell apart without Abby. Makes you realize just how much she kept them together. And it's like, now that she's going, seeing them fall apart. But like I said, you have Ray trying to fix everything. Ultimately, the whole thing with Sam is like, yeah, I didn't do this for free. It's like, you still owe me Landry. So, what kind of took me by surprise was the fact is he killed Doug and made it look like a suicide. Exactly like the Tom situation. So it's like, I don't know what to think about that. Because as we know before, like, Sam was kind of like, because Doug was like, he knows exactly who did it. So not unless Ray killed him like that, I would assume so. I don't think it's a situation where it's like Ray killed him and then like one of Sam's people came in there to stage it to look like that. Maybe he just felt like it'd be easier that way. Because he was about to put his gloves on, but he didn't. So part of me thinks a combination of either he thought like, well, what happened to Tom? I could do it here. Or because he wanted to make it up close and personal because of the whole Natalie situation and just being the piece of crap human being that he is. Just like Ray just wanted to make that personal. So, you do have the surgery going off with Smitty. It does seem like it works. Obviously, Sharon was not too happy about the whole exchange. You do see her kind of looking at, she ends up calling Ray a piece of crap and a monster. He's the devil himself. So like I said, not like everyone happily went along with every situation, because like I said, Daryl was pissed. He was like, we're all going to hell. Now it was Sharon. And it's like, I think the only person that walked away from this season finale pretty happy is, Bridget to a certain extent, but I think she still like harbors some of the stuff of like, well, because even Sam was like, oh, not everyone has a dad like yours. And I guess it made Bridget kind of forgive her dad to a certain extent, because it's like, well, he came through in the end. He helped Smitty, and probably everything that she's doing, knowing everything I don't know. It's hard. You see her crying at the end, but that's mostly, probably for being like Smitty being happy, but it's still a situation of like, things still happened the way they did. So I am curious about that whole situation though, because the DA got the gun and everything, and he's going like after Mickey, but Mickey's ultimately like, I don't care. I'm gonna go back to my card game, which is like, oh, he's gonna strike very hard when the moment he gets an opportunity, because it's all or nothing for him. And there was a whole aspect of Daryl who's like, well, Daryl kind of won in the end because Jay offered him a position, which I'm sure Jay more so than anything was like, well, that was because of the whole Mickey situation, like testify against your dad. But I think it was also insurance for the future, because it's like this way he has someone like Daryl on his side, maybe someone he feels like he has a little bit more control over, whereas Mickey's kind of a loose cannon, Daryl kind of like a more refined weapon that he can use if need be, so I don't know. Does seem like the movie sadly is going down the route of Mr. Lucky rather than Four Leaf, so kind of another middle finger to Mickey in the grand scheme of things. I mean, because that's the sad thing, though. Like, when it's all said and done, all of his sons have basically walked away from him. Like I said, I'm trying to remember. I don't know if Terry and Mickey have even interacted at all this season. Have they? Not really. If they have, it's not by much. But it's still a situation of like most of his sons, like I said, even Bunchy was kind of like, yeah, Bump doing anything for dad, so gotta almost completely like slip over like what happened to Bunchy this episode. Like Teresa was like, oh, let's go, you can work on us, and then it's like, no, he gets the bar and he's like, you know what, Teresa, Maria's gonna stay here with me. You just go. And it's like, oh man, that sucks. It's just, especially when you think about where they came from and how they got to where they are, the stuff they've been through. It's like, part of me is like, that sucks. I know she messed up, but it's like, please forgive her, Bunchy. I want you two to be together. It's just like this, like, I want, you want some non-dysfunctional families amongst the Donovans. It's like every Donovan is screwed up in their relationship. Terry's marriage is kind of like crap. I don't think he's talked to Maureen the entire, like, the last time, like, she was going to call him was about the whole situation about Bridget last episode, but he kind of ignored the phone call. So that's the only interaction I think they've had. So there's no repairing that relationship. Ray's kind of in the situation he is with his kids. Like I said, things are kind of better with Bridget, but things are still on the rocks with Connor, and then just his extended family in general with his brothers, which he's kind of on good terms with Terry, because Terry's like, I'm sorry. Like, essentially, he's kind of like, Abby was in so much pain and he just needed to help her. Trying to get Ray to understand that, and just, he is still kind of apologetic about everything working out the way it did, because ultimately everything fell apart and he didn't want things to go to shit. They just did, which Ray doesn't really say anything. I thought he was going to say something heartfelt, but he was just like, I'm going to go. And I was like, oh, wow. And then he dealt with the whole Doug situation, and then you also have ultimately how the season ended with like him like following Abby's ghost and her falling off the building. The moment, like, I thought the season was going to immediately cut to him jumping off the building, like, oh, did he live or die? But I was like, I guess they knew that the building, like, the water is so close. They're like, people most likely going to think he's going to live, so we're going to show him jumping into the water. And that's how they end this season, which is just like, that's crazy, dude, because so much went down in his seats. I almost completely forgot about the whole situation with like his business, because of the whole Natalie situation. A lot of his clients are pulled out, just the way he reacted to like all, like, because remember Ray went after that was essentially TMZ in the Ray Donovan universe, like that whole situation playing out the way it did when he attacked the guy for the bat, trying to figure out who leaked that information about Natalie, because ultimately that information led to her getting killed at the end of the day too. So, because I was wondering about that, they never really directly tied everything back to Doug, but I think that was more reason, like, technically, most definitely her death is on Doug's hand, because Doug's the one that kind of Vicky's the one who leaked that information, and that was for Doug. So, and like her ex-husband coming to kill her, that was all because of Doug. So I think that was extra more reason why. I guess I almost forgot to. That's actually how she died too. Like like her husband strangled her. So it might have even been like poetic justice in a very effed up sense why Ray did it, like very personal like that. Like I said, he was going to put his gloves on, but that's what, like, in my part of my brain was immediately like, okay, he's going to go there and kill him and just wait for the cops to arrest him, like his way of, because his therapist was basically like, you need to forgive yourself for everything that's happened to you and forgive everyone else around you, which, like I said, it seems like that might be kind of the theme of this episode, of just trying to fix and repair his family in some shape or form. But, yeah, I mean, getting back to what I was bringing up, it's the fact of the matter is now it's like they got clients pulling out, which you have like Lena being like, those guys who are the clients are pulling out, like F them, they're being pieces of crap. It's like all the stuff we've done for them, and now that this is coming out, and now everyone's like, oh, Ray, he did this, and then that's trying to call him out. So basically ruining his business to a certain extent. So it's like, I don't know if this is getting renewed for another season. I'm assuming it is. Hopefully it is. But that brings up the question: what will they do in season 6? Like, where would the Donovan stand when it's all said and done? Bunchy trying to like spruce up the bar with the bartender dude being like, "Yo, we need to get pinball machines." Like, dude, I'm a wizard at Adam's Family. It's like, "Yo, you like the Adams Family?" It's just like, "Yo, we're gonna do this, do that, and just build the place up." So, kind of stepping in that business of like, even after everything that kind of went down this season, kind of coming out on top to a certain extent, has a business, has something that he can leave for Maria and Teresa, however that situation ultimately plays out. We do have Terry showing up at the boxing ring with Damon and his dad, which Terry just doesn't say anything, which is kind of his silent acknowledgement of like, yeah, you keep going, which took me by surprise. I was so sure his dad was going to do something stupid and douchey, but it seems like no, his dad, at the very least, it looks like this whole situation has made Terry go like, all right, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and we're going to work together and make sure Damon this all works out, both in his corner. But the moment you screw up, I'm coming for you, essentially. That's still probably on the table. But I completely did not expect that. I was so certain he was going to screw over Damon or Terry, which, hey, that's always a possibility next season. Then also, like I said, where does Ray and Bridget stand now? What about the whole situation? Because also, this was the season 2 that the house is sold, everyone's moved out. It's officially no longer there, so where's Ray going to stay? Is he going to stay at his apartment, his other place, which is going to be weird staying there considering Natalie died there, so. And also, like, what about Sam? Because Sam is like, oh yeah, we're friends and everything, so ultimately helped out this season. Because the thing is, like, when you have season-specific characters like Sam, whether it be like Ian McShane or Katie Holmes' character from like, wasn't that season 3? And obviously Hector from last season, Father Ramos. No, it wasn't Father Ramos. It was something like that. Father Romanov? It was something like that. But like each season has their specific characters. I painted like Sam as like the possible antagonist of this season. It's like she borderline both. I guess luckily everything ended well between her and Ray, which they're in good terms. So I am curious to see will Sam return like next season, because most situations with characters in her position is like either their storyline is completely done or they're dead. That's typically why we never see them pop up in future seasons. But also because it's Susan Sarandon, so I'm like, I guess that ultimately decides, if there is another season, if she's busy with other stuff too, because she's in quite a few things, so it's like probably like depending on her schedule will determine whether or not like Sam makes a reappearance. But the fact is, her and Ray are on such good terms. I'm like, there's always a possibility for more in the future, especially because it's like he works for her now, like, or we're friends, done me a favor. So I feel like there's definitely more to that. Just, I don't know. We have to wait and see. Like I said, fantastic season, and I'm so curious to see what they would do with another season. Like, there's a feeling where I'm like, there's no way it could get worse for the Donovans, which is like, I don't know. They always find a way to make things kind of even more screwed up, going forward. I mean, all the happiness that they built up now, it's like, I mean, season 4, like I said, season 4 ended on, oh yeah. Season 5, oh yeah, Abby's dead. Yeah, so who's to say they don't turn things around? Because there was a weird part of me that was kind of expecting, because I think I remember reading certain things of like, oh yeah, things don't end well for the Donovans, in particular Ray, for this season. So I am curious how they're going to start this up. Because in season 1, was it season 1 or season 2? I can't remember. That ended with Ray getting shot and he was laying down on a beach bleeding or something like that. Season 3 definitely ended bad because that's what he was kind of driving in. I think he ended in a similar situation, shot and wounded, and the father kind of patched him up, and then he was kind of good in season 4. So I don't know. Maybe Ray will kind of work past his issues next season. I don't know, especially because he's also carrying around that photo of him as a kid, and it has on the back like "Forgive yourself," which Sam was kind of like, yeah, she tried that, but she's like, ultimately, it doesn't really work. To a point, it's like I finally realized I didn't want to forgive myself. It's just like, why kind of get caught up in that? Just take what you want. Life's kind of short, so why not just live it in the moment and just take what you want? Which is, Ray's probably dealing with that too. Like, I wonder ultimately when it's all said and done, has he forgiven himself for just everything that's happened to him, but also at the same time, just the whole Abby situation too. Because we also saw a little bit of a moment where it's like his mom was there dying, like she was dead on the bed. So now it's kind of like, that's probably why that whole thing with Abby hit him even harder, because it was literally like watching his mom die. Because I forgot that his mom was sick, and that's why that ultimately, so that's why the whole Abby situation hit him the way it did, because he lost his mom, but he was in a position to do something for Abby, and he's like, I can't let you go. Like, basically, in all honesty, it's kind of a reflection with Bridget and Smitty's situation too, because she lost her mom. She wasn't ready to let the same thing happen to someone else she loved. It's literally a mirror situation to Ray's situation. So it kind of shows you, especially the way she handled that doctor situation. Ultimately, like, it led to her getting arrested and everything, but almost kind of a Ray way of handling that. Obviously, like, with Ray's connection, he would be able to do it differently, obviously, like he did. So I wonder will we see the doctor in the future too, like Sharon, like, Kim Raver's character, like, getting payback for what Ray's done. Like, I don't know. I am curious to know what did Sam do to kind of put her in a position to be like, fine, I'll do it for you, So maybe we'll never find out. So, and like I also said, what's the business going to be like next season? Will Ray still be in business? At the very least, he still has Sam, possibly. Once again, that depends on if there is a next season, if she comes back, But other than that, maybe next season would be like dealing with the fact is that he has the failing businesses. Like, what are you going to do now? So what is him and Lena going to do? Plus Mickey out for revenge, There's probably, like I said, with the situation with Avi, there's probably no ever possibility of him returning. That episode was probably his last one, but because the way, like, Mickey was throwing Avi into the situation of being like, oh yeah, Ray knew about the whole Barnes and Avi situation. So, like I said, ultimately we'll just have to wait and see. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.